Hello everyone, this is the Illuminati. Not the Illuminati with an I that wants one world order. This is the Illuminati to try to bring about world peace by getting people to try to live as sinless and behave as well as they can according to God under one truth, using all the holy books, and hopefully let's stop war and stop a lot of the bad things that happen in the world. To have a good society, you need good behaving people. Bad behaving people are going to make a bad society. Same with the world. Good world, good behaving people. Bad behaving people, bad world. So I'm going to read a sermon, being it's in the political times, and our politicians argue about taxes and what have you. This is the name of the sermon. I don't want government or business keeping me poor. Let me say this. If I work and make a good middle class wage, and the government taxed me so much that it took almost all of my money, and I could barely live and eat, then I would be like a slave. This is one extreme. The second extreme is I work hard and the boss pays low wages, even though I pay little or no taxes, and the business owner keeps all of the wealth so I can barely pay my bills. Do I like it either? No. Because either philosophy, I'm poor and have to work hard. So in this country, here in 2011, we argue about less government, more government, less taxes, government getting the economy going. The Republicans say we need more tax breaks to the rich, smaller government, and let business be free to do what they want. Democrats say basically they want to raise taxes on the rich, and we need to borrow money and do more government projects to put the people back to work. But what is the real problem? Aside from all the business going overseas to places like China, so they can have cheap slave-like labor, so our money is always leaving the American and European middle-class economies and going to those few who own businesses and invest in the businesses in places like this, where the workers just work hard all day and get paid starving wages. And by the way, I don't hate the Chinese, all you people in these oppressed lands, you're my brethren, and it's not right what happens to you. Back to the sermon. The problem is government is inefficient and bloated due to bad, ungodly behavior. The ungodly business owners are greedy and selfish, trying to hoard all the profits for themselves and their investors. And with high unemployment, business owners look for cheaper labor and hoard more wealth. So part of the way to fix this economy is for people to turn to God and be more humane, first of all, making government more streamlined and efficient, with people doing a good, fair day's work, and making business owners pay good, fair, middle-class wages. This would allow the economy to get better, because working people would have more money to spend, and it would come from both sides, government and business. You see, it doesn't matter who hoards the wealth from the people, it still gets hoarded. It's like playing a game of choose your slave master. Now, government projects are needed to help the economy. Good infrastructure and these kind of things help a society. But if the contractors that do the work inflate their prices and try to hoard the money, if there's tons of red tape to do a job due to dishonesty, if irrational people won't work together to get things done efficiently, and workers don't want to do an honest day's work for their pay, then any money to stimulate the economy is going to be wasted. So once again, ungodly behavior will destroy the chances of America getting back to a good economic standing. So what's the point? The point is, an ungodly, bad-behaving society full of selfish, greedy, corrupt, irrational, lazy, inhumane people cannot have a good society, whether it's America or anywhere else. And all the plans to make society better, if they help at all, will help very little. Because the health of a society and the peace in a society is decided by how humane people are and how well they are willing to behave, period. So the best thing you can do is worship God and be as good and humane as you can, and teach others to do the same. That way you make society better, and you teach others to make society better. And don't say the world is too big. It will never change. When you better your behavior, the world starts getting better. When you teach others to worship God and better their behavior, then if they do it, then the world gets a little better. You can start with your family, your friends, people in your community, and so on, trying to get the word of God out to more and more people. Every person you touch makes the world better. You might not change the world by leaps and bounds, but any little bit you change the world, even if you feel it's insignificant, an insignificant amount helps. So do as much as you can, and that's how you make the world better, and you please God and make it to heaven. The man or woman of God is supposed to try to be a warrior for God and be the best, smartest warrior they can be. Rational, kind, humble, but as tough as he or she can be against evil and against the ungodly power structure, the slave master, because that's what the ungodly power structure tries to do. Enslave you, put you in deeper and deeper servitude. Now back to the sermon. They're supposed to train to be like God's commandos, tough enough to handle the persecution, smart enough to find ways to defeat the slave master, with enough character not to be a brown-nosing, crap-eating sellout, physically, mentally, and spiritually strong enough to war for God in life. And like I said, war doesn't always mean violence. The people of God are supposed to be people of true reason, hanging closely to the Word of God. Jesus was the ultimate humane and reasonable person that walked the earth. That's why he's the Messiah, the role model for humanity. A man willing to go to the cross and die in order to stand up for God against the ungodly power structure. So try to be like Jesus, strong and courageous. And let me say this. If you act polite and have all this elitist etiquette, but meanwhile you look down on the poor and want them to be your servants and slaves and work cheap for you, don't think this makes you any better, because you're inhumane. The person of God doesn't look down on and treat these people bad for no reason. He educates and offers these people a chance at a middle-class life. To God be the glory. And I know, and I always say this, some of the language seems harsh, and I'm gonna say this. The language is harsh against people, and it's made for people that want to do evil. I mean, you can tell somebody something nicely, but they're gonna do evil no matter what. Well, the suffering you cause your brother and sister is harsh. Okay? You feel disrespected. Look how you disrespect your brother and sister for your greed or your arrogance. Okay? You hurt them, put them in the grave. They're enslaved somewhere. Now what about that? Now if you feel disrespected, do you disrespect someone else that way? How do you treat your brother? That's what you have to ask yourself. How you treat your brother or sister. So I hope everyone repents and turns to God. And to have a good society, from government to business, good behavior. The more humane we behave as people, the better society will be. We can talk about all the capitalism, communism, liberalism, conservatism. We can run those social philosophies around the circle all day. But to have a good society takes people worshiping God, living the way God says, and practicing the good, humane behavior that God says. So have a good day, and God bless.